about the VOD and the silver screen. Kevin and Tom and Joe know all there is to know, from masterpieces to deep fried tacos. And if the movie sucks, you might hear them say, there's no telling where the guys will take you. Get ready for a spoiler. Won't say it twice, cause we already warned you. Better watch out, it's gonna ruin the plot. Real spoilers. Real spoilers. Real spoilers.
Broadcasting from the lush but not lavish studios located in the basement of the O'Keefe Institute for Advanced Film Snarkitude, this is Real Spoilers, episode 825.
Hey now.
Got it.
Mufasa.
A milestone.
It is a milestone. I think 25 is a milestone.
I don't really think so, but because it's like a quarter of 100, I think that it
I
qualifies
know
for
that
a
if I worked for a
milestone.
comic book company, that 825
This
would
would-
look
this-
real big on the cover.
This issue would have a foil cover.
Absolutely. Multiple covers.
Maybe
you
a
have
hologram or two.
backup stories.
We were gonna give Joe the glitter beard, but he
Remember
wouldn't do
what was the one where they like glued a gem to the front? A
Oh.
plastic gem? It was
Was it Gem?
was it no, it was like Invasion. Was it one of the Invasion ones?
Maybe.
And there was like a big green gem on some character's forehead, and
Yeah.
they glued it to the book.
That does ring a bell.
I got it somewhere.
Yeah, of course you do. As I'm selling off my collection.
I've thought about it lately.
I gotta tell you,
It's
man.
got so many, and I
That's-
never have time to read them, and I'm just like, maybe I should just.
I have switched to digital.
Yeah.
So like, I just picked the ones that
Wow.
I just picked the because I still want to
Comic
read them.
book guy Joe.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Get rid of
It's-
comic books.
It's
end of an era.
not all of them, just some of them.
yeah.
When you
God.
say some, what's the percentage? Would you say?
Oh, that's a good question.
Like
once I get it all done,
Mhm.
I'll be able to know like
Okay.
what the percentage is because I'm still like moving things in
Yeah.
boxes.
You're like, I'm gonna get rid of this box. Oh, okay, I'll keep that one.
I gotta tell
I'll
you,
keep that one.
that has
Oh,
happened.
keep-
You don't think that hasn't
And the
happened?
piles
Yeah.
3
Yeah.
comics you're selling.
I was flipping through stuff and I was like, I don't really need. I'm not going to read that. And I got to Beavis and Butthead #1. I was like, no, I'll keep that one. Like, why? Why would I keep that one? But
Yeah.
it's a great cover, and I kept it.
But there are some. I will say there are some comic books that I would keep, and I know they have no real value.
Yes,
But like, I have like a complete run of like the Marvel Raiders of the Lost Ark.
same.
Yeah.
Same. I'm
And
keeping
just
that.
like, there's just something about that that brings me joy. I have a complete run of Marvel's adaptation of V.
Oh, do you really?
Yeah, like the TV show, like because they did the miniseries, but they had their own like I don't know 30, 40 issue run of whatever story they
Yeah,
were making up.
yeah.
And like,
Interesting.
and I have all of those. I don't think they have any real value,
Probably not.
but
Depends if they did like a photorealistic cover of, what's his name? Freddy Krueger, Robert Englund.
yeah,
Like if he's on the cover of something, that might
yeah.
go for something.
God, I always hated those photo covers.
Well, I mean, like the artist drew. Like
like the art, not like where they put a
correct.
I hate, just a picture. on
Whenever,
the front.
whenever they would put a picture on a comic book, I would all even as a little kid, I would just be like lazy.
Yeah,
My
they
favorite-
ran out of time.
My
or
favorite one is the
whatever.
Spider-Man one, where it's like it's a photo cover of a guy, an actor,
Right, dressed up like
and
Spider-Man.
but well, he's changing, so like he's
Yeah.
got jeans on.
oh yeah, I remember.
And he's
that.
got like the top half
Dude.
of the costume, and he's like starting to pull the mask over, and I was like, "That's cool."
Joe's like Spider-Man has pants off. and
Yeah, let's go.
A little bit more than my spider sense
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
tingling.
Who knew?
That was Joe's sexual
And
awakening.
he,
Yeah.
it's so funny because the dude with like the model they had was like
Jack.
jacked to the
Yeah.
gills,
Ah, see?
but it's like that's not what Spider-Man looks like. I'm like he's a little scrawny guy.
Yeah.
He's not. He's not.
He's fit, but he's more of like a gymnast fit.
Yes.
Than like Superman.
then-
like Tom Holland.
right.
Like,
yeah, Tom
athletic,
Holland,
but
Tobey
not-
Maguire, and like those 3 actors,
All have the
exact
build,
right
yeah.
build
for it.
Henry
yeah.
Cavill, perfect build for Superman.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
Henry Cavill would be an awful Spider-Man.
just give me that movie, just for fun.
Might be an okay Venom.
You'd be a great Venom.
Yeah.
You'd be a very good Venom.
Ooh, don't give Sony any ideas
I know.
for their
Just
Spider-Verse.
get him as Wolverine, and we'll call it.
Look, if Sony was listening to this, and after all the ideas we gave them to fix that shitty run of movies,
We've been doing it since Venom 1.
and they took Henry Cavill as Venom as the takeaway, they deserve everything they
They've
get.
been
they're
listening, but they're
getting it.
finally like, okay, we gotta actually do something they've suggested.
Yeah,
because-
right. Look, these execs don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like, maybe we'll just listen to this small-time podcast in St. Louis, Missouri, and they'll fix it all.
Exactly. So, shameless plugs. Don't forget we're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, TuneIn, wherever you find a podcast. You can find us. While you're there, be sure and follow us so you never miss an episode. Maybe leave us a review because it's the holidays.
Yeah.
And you could stroke our ego for the holidays.
Hey, now.
Yeah. Well, two of us are taken.
That's fair.
So,
Yeah, you can stroke more than Joe's ego.
but Joe can take all the stroking you want to offer.
Give it your best shot.
Yeah. So, where was that? Oh, yeah, reviews. And then don't forget you can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Real Spoilers. While you're there, like the page, join the group. It's called the League of Show Sharers because we are hoping you will share an episode. People who were kind enough to share an episode last week include Ralph Tribble, Librarian Cynthia, Tammy Lynn Powers Betts, Travis Tewitt, Chris Falls, Julianne Jordan, Michael Tonkovic, Aaron Kyleman, Tom Dowdy, Richard Krotzer, Chris Magic Man, Gabriel Lugo, Brent Smith, Taylor Ward, Dissect That Film, Heather Sachs, Edit Photo Gamer, Mike and Oscar, Ken Holtzhauser, Colby Mack, The Kryptonian Orphan, Geek to Me Radio, Ryan Terry, Ronnie Castle, In Session Film, and Matt Niglius.
I do want to say,
Oh.
I saw James install at a local comic shop, and I'm not going to disclose what he was digging for books, and I knew exactly who he was.
Cherry Pop-Tart.
I'm not going to disclose what he was
Okay.
buying,
But it wasn't not Cherry Pop-Tart.
I can't confirm nor deny.
Okay.
But
One-Fisted Tails. Do you remember that one?
I do remember. I saw that comic at a show one time,
Yeah.
and I was like, "There's no way." Like, there's no way this is like an indie. And the guy's like, "No, this is a thing." And I was like,
I got a
"Okay."
copy of it somewhere.
Of course you do.
Of course I do.
So I do want to say I always appreciate when I see people that I know, like at local shops.
Yeah.
And because I support your local shop. Like, I think that's super important. I was selling off some of my stuff, and he was buying stuff. And I didn't say anything because I didn't want to be like, oh, do whatever. But I did see James at a local comic shop. I won't say where the shop was, just to air, But dude was buying some books, like
Yeah.
lots of them, because the guy that had a sale. I think I may have just given away where the shop was, but the guy was having a
To
sale.
the 3 listeners.
I know,
I don't care.
right. Was having a sale, and like James walked up with this stack of books, and I was like, "Fuck, that's a lot of books."
He's got that radio money.
That's right.
There's no such thing.
Well, not anymore.
That's why I stopped.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Unless you get signed to Sirius or
God, even that, I don't think pays that great. I mean, if you're Stern, it does.
Rogan.
If you get a contract.
yeah.
Yeah. That's what I
Well,
meent.
Rogan's
Yeah.
not on Sirius.
Isn't he?
No,
Isn't
he's
that
on
who he signed?
Spotify.
But
Oh,
Stern,
it is Spotify.
Then
Spotify's
Rogan
the
on
one that gave him the
Spotify.
massive
Yeah.
deal.
Anyone
okay.
that gets a deal, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm sure Conan made a lot of money.
Yeah.
And then
Where did he go?
He's at Sirius. And
Oh.
They signed Conan to Sirius XM, and then they fired a bunch of regular DJs.
Which is it's tough because I have that Conan station programmed on my car because I do enjoy
yeah.
like
Conan's the best. I cannot wait for him to host the Oscars. That's
I
a
love
great choice.
actually what I like the most. I love his Matt Gorley. I think is also very funny, but him Gorley,
Sure.
Conan and Sona together,
Yeah, they're great.
are great. Like
Yeah.
it's a fantastic dynamic, and Sona is deceptively funny.
Oh yeah, she's
She's
their
very
dynamic's
funny.
so funny.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
I
like
like
them
when
a
they do
lot.
the chill chums.
Yes,
And it's just the 3 of them talking.
that's
It's-
what I want. I
yeah.
will. I only
No guests,
for
just
the
the chill
guests. I
chums.
tune into like somebody that I actually
Yeah.
the Jim. Oh man,
Jim Downey.
Jim Downey.
Jim
one
Downey's a great
is
episode.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Have you listened to this?
No.
It's.
yeah.
I
You should just
cannot
listen to
recommend
every
it enough.
Conan interview though. His
Jim Downey is
Conan O'Brien Needs
so
a Friend
funny.
is such a good
so
show.
so he does a bit about Jeff Epstein that is chef's kiss. It's so funny. It's so funny.
Yeah.
Okay, where was I at?
Sorry.
That's okay.
Listen to Conan on
Yeah.
Sirius XM.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in.
Thanks. Yeah.
We should just play Conan.
Like he
we
needs.
just start off
like he
pretending.
needs free press, right? Like
We're just gonna start off pretending like we're doing a movie review, and then we just play Conan
I
clips.
like it. I like it. Maybe it'll get our numbers up.
Be a
Right,
lot easier.
it would.
We finally get advertising revenue. So, don't forget, you can check out our Patreon, patreon.com/real spoilers, where for $5 a month, you get all sorts of bonus content. We like you extra.
Your episode's up.
Oh, is it?
It is.
Oh, look at that.
Been up
Finally.
for a long time.
For, what, like 3 days?
Yeah. Well, as of this recording, about a week.
That's true. That's a good point.
So, did you ever record more SNL?
No,
Oh, okay.
I'm waiting for them to record more.
It's,
I
hey
was
man, I've
supposed
been
to have some in the
swamped.
can.
I know we should have had some in the can. I know.
Because now there's nothing to edit.
There's plenty of lead
Merry
time.
Christmas, Kevin. Merry Christmas.
For what?
Not having you to edit anything.
Oh, thank
Yeah,
you
you're
so
welcome.
much.
That was
And
our- that was our
you can
plan.
watch these on YouTube. There's all that.
Yeah, you can actually. I did a reaction bit. It's like a 9-minute video for the Superman
Yeah,
trailer.
are you paying for the sponsorship? We don't have another slot for another plug.
Sorry.
That's at the end of the episode.
Yeah, I pay for a Patreon monthly thing. Yeah, that's what I get. Yeah, so there on the YouTube. I did a watch along with the trailer. Gave a little bit of a breakdown.
Joe's releasing solo videos like Octomine.
Not as bad. It might be as bad. I don't know. Cringy maybe. But yeah, it was up there. I thought it was
It was
a
fun.
solid trailer.
People are enjoying
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Well, don't give it away. They have to go watch the thing.
I just said it was a solid
I know.
trailer. There's
They
more
gotta go there to check it out.
TBD.
He takes that back. He retracts
That's
that.
it. It was a shitty trailer.
Watch. No.
No.
What
are we doing?
Don't give any info.
Oh, sorry.
Go watch the video. You told me to go watch the video.
Yeah, go do that.
It's not even the Superman trailer.
It's not even the Superman
that
trailer.
you were reviewing.
No, it's the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle trailer from '89.
Joe's reviewing the whole Snyderverse.
Oh my God.
Go watch the
We
video.
did. That's
Yeah.
the wild part. We did review the
Yeah.
entire Snyderverse.
Starting with episode
Starting
one.
with episode 1.
We even did it again. Well, for episode 1000, maybe we'll do it again.
Oh no.
No.
We've had enough.
We will not. We will not. Or at least I won't.
Yeah, I
You
won't.
guys might,
Yeah,
but
not me.
You might not be alive by episode 1000. That's 150
not even-
episodes
it's not
away.
that far
That's
away.
3 years away. You'll be
Okay.
85 by then.
something like that.
90.
But I work out now, so
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
be okay.
He might outlast both of us.
That's true.
So Mufasa, the Lion King.
This is
spoilers.
Yeah. This is weird. I didn't think this movie was bad. I don't think it deserved all of the hate that it got.
This is a new genre of film I like to call the blehbuster. Like,
Yeah.
it's aggressively mediocre, and it'll probably still make a bunch of money
I
because
don't know that
it's
it will.
IP, but
This movie got beat by Sonic 3 this weekend.
Which is
Wow.
wild.
A Disney movie based on one of the most popular movies. Like, that just shows you where Disney's at, where
That's what
people
I
are
mean.
just like, we'll watch Disney Plus, we subscribe to that, but like the fact that Disney came out with a Lion King movie that should be like a big,
Yeah.
right
Should've.
around Christmas.
big time director,
and
like
Sonic
big time
beat it.
budget.
And I like the Sonic movies. I would have rather seen Sonic, but I figured this was the bigger movie. But no, Sonic won. And Sonic has like a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Did Sonic
this has like
2?
a 60%. So like Sonic 3 is.
Did Sonic 2 must have done well enough to get a third one.
Well,
but-
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, it did well.
Okay.
It wasn't as good as the first one, but it was a solid kids movie. It was silly. This one's supposed to be the best out of all of them. I mean, like, as it has like a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes.
And they've
This
greenlit
movie,
4
yeah,
already.
Yeah, they make a ton of money. They're all solid. They're fun.
They didn't they redesigned the character?
Well, that was the biggest.
That
Did
was-
you remember? I mean,
Yeah.
that was.
When they released that
2016.
first picture of that, we're just like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the better like decisions the studios
Oh,
made. Like,
yeah.
think if they didn't pivot and no one went and see it, it looked weird.
Yeah.
And no one even gave it a chance, even though it would have been a fun movie probably still.
Right.
Like, isn't that crazy? Now there's number 4, and they got Keanu Reeves and Idris Elba and like all the people they get as to be a
Right,
part of this.
right,
Jim
right, right.
Carrey, it's his first movie that he's played the same character in 3 movies.
Oh,
Yeah.
I guess that's true.
Because there was only
done
2
sequels,
Ace
but,
two
yeah.
Ace Venturas,
Yep. There's
and
Dumb and Dumber, he did a second
that's
one.
right. There was a second
there's
Dumb and Dumber.
it's technically the third Dumb and Dumber, but he's done in the
But
second one.
that second one was
It was like a
borderline straight to video.
But
Yeah.
the,
Oh,
the
yeah.
sequel that they really did.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
this is the first time he's done a third one. They'll probably do a fourth. And I like it that he was going to retire from acting. And in an interview asked him, "Why'd you come back for this one?" And he's like, "Well, it paid really well."
Well, this is the
And
Jim Carrey that
I would think too for Jim Carrey, it's like there's no pressure.
No,
right?
yeah.
Like it's like it's not like he's not being asked to headline this movie.
Yeah.
If it works, it's like if it works, they're like, oh, he's in a hit movie, and if it doesn't work, nobody's like Jim Carrey movies tank.
Right.
And so it's like, how much money? Okay.
Right.
But he's apparently great, and he plays two characters. He plays Dr. Robotnik and
his
Dr.
dad, right?
Robotnik's dad. So he plays. And another funny thing in the interview, he's like, so when I signed up to play two characters, I figured I'd get double the salary. Nope, just one salary. He's like, they got me on that. But
Yeah, it's also weird to think that there's a whole generation that doesn't know him
from anything but Sonic.
from what I know him from.
Yeah.
You know, like
Sure, 94. I mean, think about this.
not even before.
It's
30
30 years ago, brother.
Yeah.
Ace
Yeah.
Ventura, like
The
that,
Mask,
the mask,
like,
and all that.
Liar,
yeah, Dumb and
Liar,
Dumber.
all that stuff.
Three top hits in 1 year.
Yeah, and then Batman Forever. Well, all right.
I
still
like
got
Batman Forever.
I do like Batman Forever.
I like that one. He's great in that movie.
You see his wiener in that movie.
Well,
That's weird. I watched it. I
mean-
watched it like I don't know, over the summer, and I was like, "Good
That
lord!"
suit's tight.
Like it is. That
Didn't
suit
have
is
the same
tight.
impact
Did not.
as Peter
wow,
Parker.
Joe's got,
putting his-
we're learning a lot about
putting his
Joe's
costume
younger
on,
years.
yeah.
This
There's
is
a lot of
a lot of wiener
a lot of
talk.
insight.
Yeah,
Which is fine, but
Which is fine.
We don't judge you.
No kink shaming. on
wait
Real
for the
Spoilers.
kids' movie episode to talk about your awakenings.
But yeah, I agree. Like this felt like a traditional like an old school Disney cartoon animated movie in that I don't remember, there were a lot of songs in this that I did
Lin-Manuel
not,
Miranda.
but
I don't think there were that many songs. It just felt like a lot of songs because they
Maybe.
were so bad.
I don't
These songs were bad.
I think they're way
these
better
songs-
than Moana too.
Oh, no.
Oh, I
These
disagree.
songs were trash.
no, I think these
These
are better
so-
than
like
too.
Moana's two songs were forgettable. These songs were aggressively bad. That Bye Bye
Interesting.
song.
Oh, that's
oh,
bad.
I
my-
thought that was good.
Oh, I did not-
my
yeah.
God, Jesus Christ, that song was bad.
I
and then
like-
the
that felt
song,
like an old villain song.
and it felt like an old stupid villain song. And then
I don't know. When I was watching, the first thought I had was like, okay, well, these songs were actually catchy, and the Moana songs, I could not tell you to this day one single song from Moana.
To Tom's point, which is worse? Like, do you get songs that you don't remember at all, or do you get hit with songs where you're like, man, this is trash, and you remember that they're trash?
I don't know. Like, I can still remember that, like, kind of catchy, like that bye bye. Like, that's
oh my
like,
God,
I can still hear
it
that.
was
in my-
cringe-inducing. That
Oh.
song.
I did
Absolutely
not. I did like the
cringe-inducing.
one with Sarabi and Mufasa.
The one where they kept saying "brava"
My-
over
No,
and over
that
again.
one was bad.
Like that one was also bad. I was just like, I was really shocked because I was sitting through Moana 2. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, it's a shame they didn't get Lin-Manuel Miranda. Oh, he's writing Mufasa songs. Oh, okay, maybe Mufasa's gonna be pretty good.
Right.
And then they opened their mouths and a turd fell out, and then they did it again and again.
Yeah.
Like I'm just like,
Interesting.
these songs are, in my opinion, some of the worst songs I've heard in a movie like this.
Wow,
wow.
that's interesting.
I
I didn't
did
mind
not
them
think-
at all.
I did not think they were the worst.
I didn't think
I
I didn't think like
brutally
I would
bad.
remember them like I do the original animated stuff. Like I don't remember a ton of them. I remember the brother and the bye bye. Like the other ones I can't really remember, but they were. But when I was watching, I was like, oh, okay.
So
these
you
are
remember the
fine.
two? You remember the two worst songs?
They to me had that like catchy hook. Like the old movies had those songs that had like the hook that kind of stays with you. The other ones were good, but I don't remember exactly what they were singing.
I mean, they're
about.
catchy, but so is "We Built This City on Rock and Roll." That don't
All
make
right.
it good.
I do
Yeah.
like that song.
That song's also trash.
That's
But
fair.
the
It's a
thing-
deep fried taco of a
The
song.
thing about this movie is that I mean it's a fairly original story. I know it's based on it's a prequel to a movie that exists, but like they created this whole backstory for the characters.
I liked the backstory. Like I like the plot beats of the
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
Like I like
Yeah.
how they're going through and they're picking up the ancillary characters
Yeah.
as they
Right.
roll. I like what they wanted to pretend was a surprise with Scar at the end.
Did they? You wait.
But no, I
you
mean
think
nobody thought that was but like
oh,
They they must have
No,
thought it,
but
or they wouldn't
no.
have given him a different name the whole time.
no,
You know,
I
like,
but
it's-
his name's not Scar. It's
Yeah.
always been a nickname.
yeah.
So, and it even in other like the straight to video stuff, I believe they do say that his name is Taka. Like it was established in some lore before.
that
this.
right?
Yeah.
okay.
So it was.
Okay.
It's been established before.
But they didn't. But it was never established that Mufasa came in and ruined Scar's life.
Yeah, but he didn't like the what I do think is
What?
funny about this movie. Scar ruined Scar's
Nope.
life.
Mufasa is the Danny from Karate Kid to Billy Zabka's Johnny.
Okay, but here's the thing. So what I think is kind of funny with Disney.
I'm teasing, kind of, but
Yeah.
also
Well,
I'm not.
no, not really. No, Scar. So here's the thing. It's kind of funny that Disney, with how much they get from all the incels,
Yeah.
made Scar a villain incel.
As an insult. Look.
That has got to be one of the biggest
I know.
FUs.
I
Here's
know.
the plot of this movie. You have a character who is born into privilege.
Yes.
Who
I was thinking the exact same thing.
who is shocked and appalled when a woman he's barely spoken to
One day.
One
has
day.
the
One day.
audacity to fall in love with
some-
another man.
Mm-hmm.
That rejection then radicalizes him, and he throws in with a pride of lions, a white pride
of lions.
a white pride of
Yes.
lions,
Yes.
and then stages an insurrection while a party of elephants stands by and does nothing.
Yep.
Thank you.
You think the
It's-
writers didn't know what they... When I was
But
watching
it's
this
also-
movie, I turned to I turned to Katie when we saw this movie, and we both enjoyed the movie, you know, right? Like, it's not saying anything bad about the movie, but for the character of Scar. So these two, like, Mufasa is basically an adopted brother. In the beginning of the movie, his parents die.
Brother.
His brother, yeah. So he is found, you know, he's saved by Scar, the character that Taka that will become Scar. And so he's taken in reluctantly. His dad, the king, doesn't like him. The mom does take him in and becomes closer with Mufasa and teaches him because he's living with the female lions who do the hunting, and so he learns skills from
They
them and everything.
relegate him to the
living with
females.
females.
Yeah,
living
and,
with
and
females.
so he
Like,
picks
that's
up a
an
lot of
insult.
because the men deem that as lesser than.
Right,
The
women's
pride of women,
Yeah.
like the women of this pride, are less than the men.
Right.
when the male lions sit around and sleep all day, the
Uh-huh.
women
And the
hunt and they take care of the kids, and
Correct.
you know, so they do a lot of the work. So anyway, he learns those skills. So he grows up as his adoptive brother from the time they're very little until they're like teenager lions at this point, right? So they are that close. They've saved each other's lives, you know, all this, been through this stuff, and then Sarabi comes along. She takes a liking to Mufasa. Scar has one little song about falling in love with her or whatever. He's known her one day. And then Mufasa and Sarabi get close, and Scar instantly turns and becomes a villain.
And Mufasa also doesn't has feelings for Sarabi,
But he's
is also
willing
just
to
like,
let it
hey,
go.
Mufasa
I
is-
didn't save you. Taka saved you. I
Mufasa is
didn't-
lied about all these different things, how he tells Taka exactly what to say. She smells like the duck flower, you know, because he has the scent and the skills he's picked up from Taka's mother and being with the females. He saves her life and then says Taka did it. Like, clearly Mufasa is trying to hook him up, and then Sarabi's just falling in love with Mufasa. Again,
Well,
this,
she's falling in love with Taka, but as soon as Mufasa, like, there's a scene where they're being chased by the white lions, and Sarabi gets hurt, and Mufasa kind of jumps in and saves her and kind of covers her and says, I've got you, you're okay. Mufasa says that later, and Sarabi's like, hey man, like, now I remember.
well, she can
that's
see
when
through
the-
it, yeah, because Taka is all talk. He's saying these things that Mufasa is telling him to say, but the action, she can just tell Mufasa's the guy, right? And so she falls for him. So, but at that point, I didn't mean to get plot-wise, but just the overall villain turn, he's known this female lion for one day. It's like, you know, if he just let it go, they would have got to the place the next day. It would have all worked out the same. Like, it's just crazy. Like, I don't know. So that whole thing is just hilarious to me that they painted him like that's his villain turn.
Yep.
Is he's an incel?
Yep.
Like, I don't know. And in the people that this is commentary about are probably too dumb to realize they're
100%.
being right. But like, that's funny.
Yeah.
That's-
It's subversive. It's smart.
Scar, the big bad villain you grew up with, be prepared, whatever, became a villain because a woman he knew one day rejected him. Like, that's his villain arc. Like,
It is funny to think because he is kind of a worm in The Lion King, right? He's a coward. He
Oh, yeah,
he
for
always
sure.
he doesn't, you know,
He's
when,
scared of
when
Mufasa,
Mufasa is
yeah.
at his weakest, that's when he strikes.
Yeah.
He's, you know, the fight with Simba where he throws ashes in his face and he's got him, you know.
Sure.
So he's never been, so I do like that we see throughout this movie he's always been a coward, right? Like when we get to a scene where the white lions are surrounding I almost called him Simba, Mufasa and Taka's.
Every time you say white lion, my brain goes, wait.
That's good. I like that.
I had a chance to love you.
Mine goes bye.
Oh boy.
I'm trying
Boy,
to
what I did like though
Yeah.
is the callback to the song when Mads Mikkelsen's character has Mufasa kind of to dead to rights, and he does. Mads Mikkelsen has a voice that is, even when you can't, like, he looks menacing already, but even when you can't see him, has an outstanding villain voice. And the way he undersells that bye-bye at the end, like when you think he's got Mufasa.
Bye-bye,
I was like, yeah, you did. Like, that's the way, it's fair. That's
I
fine.
hate it.
But, I mean, like, even there are all
we're
kinds
going to remind ourselves of that song?
there are all kinds of moments where we see Scar is kind of a bitch. Like, when we see Mufasa and Taka's mom being surrounded by the white lions, and they see Scar off in the distance, and he just stands there, and they're all just like, feel free to jump in at any time, like any help would, and he just kind of he goes away. Or when there's a scene where like Scar kind of like hides under a rock to avoid,
but also his dad's awful. So like, it's not that Scar. I think Scar is not a bad person. He doesn't have the instincts.
Save Mufasa.
Yeah,
he did save Mufasa twice.
I don't think he has the instincts, and also I wanted that in the end. I want to come back to that, but
I have a theory about that.
But he, I think Taka is a good person. His father's awful.
Yeah.
Obviously, he talks about how we're not going to let any strangers in, and obviously he's very much the like equivalent, the lion equivalent of like the sports dad.
Yeah.
That if you don't do good at baseball, he's going to yell at you and blah. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I also liked basically when Taka brings Mufasa to the Pride, he's like, "Fine, you can say, but you got to win this race." And
well, no, he doesn't. He's just like, you guys are gonna race, and if you lose, I'm gonna eat you.
Like,
and then the mom is like but
cannibalism?
Hey, sometimes
lions eat lions?
I don't know.
Maybe guess so.
Maybe they do.
Oh, I mean, it's not like I come to this for
historical accuracy,
right? Like it's not
with animal. I think
wild.
Some animals do that though.
They probably do.
Yeah.
But I do like that. So Mufasa wins the race, and I like that.
Now my head goes to the Eddie Murphy in Delirious.
Yeah.
Where he's doing his Elvis bit.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, Elvis couldn't act. They would just give him songs, and that's how he would act. Hey, Elvis, we got to win this race. We're going to win this race.
That's good. I like
hey,
that.
Elvis, you want some lemonade?
Hey, I want some lemonade.
That cool, refreshing drink.
But Taka lets him win.
No, he doesn't.
Yes, he does.
Oh, I disagree. I think
the mom even says, "Good job."
I think Mufasa wins the race, but on his own.
I would 100% don't agree.
I thought Taka threw the race.
At the end, he goes like, "I thought you said you were fast," and then the mom's like, "Good job, Taka."
Yeah.
Like, no, Mufasa was not as fast as Taka.
So I thought that Mufasa wins the race, and everybody's like, "Well, Taka must have let him win," or Taka like. Mufasa wins it on his own, but then everybody kind of goes to Taka and they're like, "Good job for letting him win the race."
No,
and he just lets them.
I think Taka's he's a good kid.
Okay.
I mean, he doesn't have the instincts that Mufasa has, but he's a good kid. He saw another lion in the water, and I did think it was kind of funny. He was like, "I've got a secret," and
yeah, I did like that.
He's like, "Oh, tell me."
You're gonna get eaten.
He's like, "You're about to get eaten," and the two alligators come for him. But he, there's the callback to the cliff scene from The Lion King where he puts his paws on him.
So I got to tell you,
just according to Wikipedia, it says Mufasa lingers back due to exhaustion. Because don't forget, he had...
That's true.
He had been swimming down
say that.
down the
He's
river.
Like,
yeah, it's very much like the Olympics, right? Like it's like, let's take all these countries that are malnourished and have no money,
right,
and then see if we can beat them at sports. But says he lingers back due to exhaustion, but Taka concedes defeat in order for Mufasa to be welcomed into the Pride, much to Obasi's reluctance.
Okay.
Yeah, because he heard the deal, and again, Taka's a good kid. Like he wanted a brother. He's an only child.
Brother.
Mm-hmm. Well, they can say that. I don't think we can say that.
We can say that. They're British. That's the British accent.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh,
except for Mufasa, who doesn't have an accent.
Are you British? Do you have British lineage?
I don't know. Probably.
He's white. Look
Close
at him.
enough.
He's got to have something.
I'm English adjacent.
But I will say
literally
about
wearing a hoodie that says London.
That's true. That's a good point.
Oh well. Joe's wearing an African.
No, it says Bret Hart.
an African print on.
No,
so
it's Bret. It's a wrestling sweatshirt. I gotta tell you, I did not like that they went back to the claws on the hand thing more than once. In thinking about it, I realized that makes the moment in The Lion King, the movie, that much worse, because the 2 times that Scar does it in this movie, he saves him, right? So when he's a kid, when they're kittens, he puts the claws in and he drags him up. Spoilers for the end of this movie, he does it again and he drags him up. So when it happens in The Lion King, Mufasa is thinking, okay, he's going to drag me up.
yeah, that
Right?
I think that
And
makes
then-
it way better. I don't think
No,
that
I
makes
mean,
it worse.
I mean, it makes
the
Mufasa's
character choice
it makes
worse.
Scar
yeah,
worse
because
Yes.
it's so fitting that he used that same motion not only to trick him like we thought in the old one, like you think like he's got his hands on his paws and lets him go, but also it's a
Mufasa-
reflection of him saving him.
But
which
also
is,
Mufasa's like, okay, he's got me.
yeah.
Right? Like he's done this twice before. He's got me. He's going to pull me up and then he lets him
Right,
go.
yeah.
He always
is-
saves me here.
Right.
Pulls the old switcheroo. Except it was
So I
a
did
double
The
switcheroo.
double switch.
Yeah.
So but then I guess we're back to where we are with the
Yeah.
double switch. I don't know.
It's like,
But walking out, I was like, I wish they hadn't done it twice. But the more I thought about it, I was like, oh, that does make the scene in The Lion King worse in that like Mufasa's like, son of a bitch.
Yeah, it makes it more meaningful.
Yeah,
I think.
right,
I mean, not that this movie is wholly unnecessary. I don't care about their backstories. Like, I enjoyed the movie, but it was okay, right? Like, I didn't love it, but I enjoyed it. But like, I didn't want to know how they all got together. I don't care. I
Oh,
didn't
see,
want to know how.
this is one of those things that I go ahead.
I don't like it. I mean, I don't think he was ever made to be his adopted brother, and I do think that they're retconning
But
that.
didn't they say?
They always said he was like the runt of the pack or whatever. And like, I'm not saying you can't be adopted.
But the
like,
scar was given to him by Mufasa, right? Doesn't
I don't
he
think that's ever.
I think they do in the I'm almost positive they say it in the cartoon where he's like, I have you to thank for this.
I guess
there
you
is
can take
the-
that a lot of different ways.
I guess
though.
that's true.
But so I don't know. I think it's a little bit retconned in a way to where it's like I didn't need those answers and I didn't need things changed. Like I'm okay with being
Like
the
where-
run of the pack.
Where Rafiki got his stick.
yeah.
I mean, that kind of fan service stuff. We've talked about it before. It's whatever.
It's like when it works, it's
Yeah.
one of those stories where like if the story really worked and gelled and you'd
Yeah.
be like, oh wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? It's like when Wicked does it. Right? When Wicked, like all of a sudden you're finding out things, you're like, oh, I didn't
Yeah.
even know I wanted to know that.
It's
That's
really
kind of
good.
cool.
Yeah.
And but when it doesn't work, you're just like, whatever.
It's
it's
Terrence Howard looking at the War Machine armor and saying next time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's like, next, let's go. Like
Yeah.
But yeah.
So I don't know. Like, so this movie, I get why people aren't super excited about it, but on the other hand, they did an original story as original. They made it up for
Which is
this
what they
movie.
haven't been doing with these live action
and then
ones.
people don't really show up to see it, and it's like, well, if you don't want them to just make shot-for-shot remakes for the rest of eternity, you have to go to the original stories, and this one gave you something new you didn't have, and now Sonic's beating it, the third movie in a video game adaptation, over an original prequel to one of the greatest animated movies of all time. So it's just like, I don't know. It lives in a really weird spot for me.
It's funny when you talk about the live action stuff, and Disney's been doing it since Cinderella, which was what 2013. No, when was that? When was that Cinderella
I think the
adaptation?
first one was
2016 or
Jungle Book.
something?
No, Cinderella was the first one. Jungle Book was after that. Look, my memory's garbage, but I'm almost positive.
Yeah, I do think Cinderella was first.
And it's funny that no other company has done it until now. And now DreamWorks is like, oh, wait,
Right.
we've got animated stuff we can make it to live action. Like, I'm waiting for that live action Shrek.
It's just
you know?
it's a weird thing because I mean animation you can do so much with the medium. I get doing animated adaptations of live action stuff because then you can push the envelope and
Sure.
do more things with magic and whatever and it just all blends in. But going live action from animation, you're taking away, I mean, other than using CG, but our feelings
Yeah.
on CG, but like you can't do as much with live action as you can in animation. So I just
It doesn't make any sense.
other than kids don't.
I think it's just the idea of like it's come to life.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't disagree.
But the magic of animation is to do things that you can't do in real life.
Well, I
so
think
it's-
when you have, we've talked about the Jungle Book a lot recently because we've had a lot of Disney stuff coming our way. That Jungle Book remake is amazing.
Yeah.
Like it's insanely
Jungle
good.
It's solid, yeah.
But I can't tell what the disconnect is because that Jungle Book remake is basically the same movie. Like they don't change much.
but it is and it isn't, because it's like they're bringing it into the real world, right? Like
Sure.
it's got a different vibe to it.
Yeah.
Like even the songs are like it's the same songs, but they're done differently.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, and
I think it also wasn't during the Renaissance period, right? So when they take movies like Aladdin, like you might have forgotten they actually did Aladdin.
that's true. Jungle
Right.
Book is a lesser.
It's an
animated.
older.
That's true.
It's from the
Yes.
60s, right? And so we're talking about movies from the peak. We're talking about Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, The Lion King.
Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
These are
If they
the
want to give us a
movies.
live action Black Cauldron,
Let's
Right.
go.
yeah.
I love Black Cauldron.
I do
That's
too.
underrated. That's
Black
a cool
Cauldron,
movie.
The Sword and the Stone.
That's a
like,
cool movie.
The Aristocats. That's whatever,
Robin
but-
Hood?
Man, if they do a remake of Robin Hood,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how that's. I don't like.
They should do like a CG like.
I don't like it. I don't want to. The hook of that, right, is Little John and Robin, and they are. I don't want to see a little fox as Robin Hood. You know what I mean?
but they could do the like they could Pixarize it. You know what I mean? Do it with like Zootopia,
Like Zootopia?
animation for the animals, but make it be the same story.
Okay.
I think doing animation maybe in a different animation style.
Yeah,
just
I
like
always-
comic books change style.
Sure,
I
sure,
always
sure.
said, how cool would it be if they just took like the original soundtrack from Peter Pan? They changed nothing with the dialogue, of like, it's all identical, but they let Pixar animate it.
That's
It'd
a
be
wild
interesting.
idea.
It'd be interesting. I think there's a lot of probably rights issues with unions and stuff
I
because
don't
of all
know.
the people that got paid for their work on the original.
But I mean,
I don't know that
If-
they can
I'm sure they
just-
own. I'm sure Disney owns the sound.
especially the way the contracts were written back then.
Yeah.
But it's probably a lot of I think it's the same problem with streaming and why
Yeah.
there's so much thing because those rights were made before streaming and then it gets messy with who got paid for their work and it didn't include certain things. I don't know. But yeah, the live action thing is weird. But this one, if they're going to do something live action, quote unquote, we know these movies are
not
100%
a single real
animated.
actor in the movie.
It's 100% animated, but if they're going to do like the more realistic looking animation adaptations or whatever, then creating an original story. I mean, they got Barry Jenkins, who's
did.
an acclaimed filmmaker.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like they got a good creative team. They got Lin-Manuel Miranda, which in theory should be good for the music.
Yeah.
I mean, he's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
modern day equivalent, you know, with all the stuff that he's done of, you know, having like a Macon and Ashman. You know what I mean? Like Lin-Manuel Miranda's the guy right
Yeah.
now. So they have a good team. And again, the story's original. And I just find it so interesting that people did not show up to the theater for this. I mean, but also you have to realize that they and maybe we are underestimating Sonic.
I
Sonic
think that
is huge.
that is the key, and I think you're absolutely right.
It's not necessarily on this movie. It's on underestimating Sonic.
and I think maybe Disney underestimated
Right.
Sonic. I
They're
think
thinking
you know,
we're Disney. We don't
we're-
have anything to worry
well,
about.
We're Disney. This is the Lion King.
Right.
Like this is one of our top tier properties. It's gonna smoke this stupid video game hedgehog, and it didn't at all. By Sonic destroyed the Lion King. I mean on the week. So, and I agree with you. I think one of our complaints about these Disney movies is that they've done nothing new. Right? You're just doing a shot for shot remake of the animated one, and sometimes the animated one is better.
And so maybe people presumed this would be more of the same, but it's like I appreciate the fact, again, as much as I didn't need this or want a backstory,
Yeah.
it's like I was at least entertained by the story because I didn't know it, right? It was original.
Right, which was the
So
draw for me.
That's when I'm watching something, I don't want to watch the same old thing remade a million times. It's the same thing with Wicked, right? And like Wicked I enjoyed, but like it's part one and I've seen the show 3 or 4 times live, so I know the story, and it's like, well, I just want to watch it and enjoy it as a whole. Like it's irritating, so it's like I don't necessarily want to watch the same thing over and over, and if I do, I want the whole thing.
Yeah.
But with this one, it's like, okay, I'm into
No,
it.
you
What
get
happened?
You get it in parts.
Yeah.
And you're gonna like it.
Oh, and the fact that they changed the first
when
movie's
I-
called
I gotta-
Wicked Part 1.
I have to tell you,
And the second movie's called
as
Wicked
soon as
4
as
Good.
soon as I saw they,
Ariana Grande said that their scripts for the second one always said "wicked for good."
Is that right?
That's what she's saying.
okay.
I agree that it's dumb to call one.
Yeah, but that's a
part
shooting name. Like shooting names change a lot.
But she said that the other one said part 1, and that this one's always said I
Wicked
agree.
Part 1
I
and Wicked
don't
for Good is the dumbest.
I don't disagree.
I mean,
that's
come
dumb.
on.
It would be even better if it was just the number 4. Yeah. They're like, wait, what happened to 2 and 3? Like, where did that go?
Like, come on, this is so dumb. And
But as soon as I saw the name change, you were the first person I thought of because I know how much that annoys the shit out of you.
so frustrating. Well, they hit it. The movie is called Wicked Part 1. When you look at the opening credits, it says Wicked Part 1.
The
and then they
publicity
don't want
company
you calling
actually
it.
were complaining to critics
For in
when
the review calling it
for
Part 1.
referring to it as Wicked Part 1.
Which shows you what I said the whole time is they are hiding it.
Yes.
It proves it
Oh.
100%.
and I actually told that story when I reviewed it on the radio. I was like, they're reaching out to critics
Mm-hmm.
saying, don't refer to it as Wicked Part 1. And I'm just like, just to be clear, it's Wicked Part 1.
Right. Yeah.
And I was like, it says it on the title screen of the movie, so I could
Literally.
not care less what the press company tells me.
Why did they
the title screen on the movie I saw
Says
that you
Wicked.
showed me says Wicked Part 1?
Why did they want to hide it?
Because they don't want people to not go.
I'll wait for the second
I'll
one.
wait for the second one.
Oh.
Which is what I would have done had I not got a review copy.
Do you think that's interesting? Do
I don't
you
want to
think
see half
well,
a movie that
okay,
I've already seen. It's different when it's Empire Strikes Back.
That was my question.
I've seen this movie.
But I guess
don't
you don't
want to
call
see
it
half.
Star Wars
If I had
2.
read Harry,
Well, I think the big difference is that this already exists
It
as
exists.
As a
completed
complete thing.
Yes.
thing,
Sure.
right? Like Empire Strikes Back, they were making those as
Yeah.
they went.
Yeah.
And so, the story ends on a cliffhanger, but it's not
and
like
no
they
one knew it.
It's not like they had already filmed
What about
Return of the Jedi.
What
and
about
they said-
it? Part 1 and 2.
But I think that has a more clear cut. Their kids and their adults.
Sure.
So and I think.
Well, I
that's
mean, you could make the argument this is clear cut. There's Act 1, there's Act 2.
What about Harry Potter?
I
Part
would
one, part
I'm
two.
not happy about them splitting. It's
Okay.
one book.
But do you think?
so for Harry Potter,
yeah.
I actually go the other way. They should have done it sooner.
Yep.
They should have done it earlier in the franchise because those books are so long
Yeah.
Yep.
and so intricate and quite frankly so deserving of the extra time.
That's why I don't think The Stand will ever work as a movie.
yeah. And
Ever. It can't.
It's too long.
It's way too
yeah.
long.
And so
They'll do it in 2 movies.
Oh well, I think
And-
that The Stand needs to be a TV show.
Or right.
Yeah.
and I will also say
And it's been twice.
they didn't hide it.
That's true.
Right?
They told us there was a part
what,
with part
what
2.
really irritates me about Wicked is the hiding of it.
Sure.
And I also don't think it needed to I loved Wicked. Honestly, I think I consider it my favorite movie of the year.
I did a list. I haven't figured that out yet, but I was looking at that.
It's really solid. Like
It's-
I will
it's-
give it that.
It's really good.
I-
But I don't think it needed to be 2 hours and
Yeah.
40 minutes, especially if you're going to take a 3-hour play and break it up
Sure.
in 2 chunks. If that movie had been 210, I think it would have been a 5-star movie.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
I think it would have been like a perfect film if they had tightened it up a smidge.
I
that being
think-
said, I really enjoyed it. I
Yeah.
think it's great.
I think when it's 2 movies, I think it's going to be fine.
Is it John Chu? Is that who directed that?
yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy Rich Asians, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the In the Heights, I believe, the one that Lin-Manuel
yeah.
Miranda.
Oh.
Yeah, which I loved. I liked
We
it.
didn't cover that, did we?
I
don't
we
think
did-
so.
I think we did. You might have been gone. I'm
Perfect.
pretty sure we talked
Excellent.
about it
Yeah.
because they had that scene when they were at the pool or something, and I remember talking about it. So I think we reviewed it.
Okay.
But I know I liked it more than West Side Story, which West Side Story was great, but I enjoyed In the Heights more.
I just think West Side has better songs.
It's
Like,
a classic.
it's also-
for sure.
it's-
And
I mean, In the
Spielberg.
Heights has good songs.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, they're way better than this movie. But West Side, I mean, it's West.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Spielberg did a phenomenal
And
job.
It looks unbelievable. As
and I-
much as I hate musicals, that looks unbelievable.
The choreography
And,
is
and
mind blowing
the,
in that movie.
The updating of it,
Yeah.
like to make
Oh,
it
yeah.
feel very modern without like just bastardizing that film.
Right.
Without-
his choreographer, Yanis Kamitsky, the guy he's been using for a while now, Spielberg,
Yeah.
he's kind of Spielberg's go-to these days, is phenomenal. And the way he shot West Side Story, along with again the choreographers, I mean, that is not a small feat to take a classic,
No.
one of the most classic musicals
Yeah.
of all time, and to make it that good.
Right.
And it's not like he's known for directing musicals.
He's not.
right.
He's not
You
at
know?
all.
I mean, you get that scene in Doom.
Well, all
Get
right.
that opening number.
That's true.
What
I
is
guess.
it?
Temple
Temple of Doom.
There's a big giant musical number. It's the opening.
Huge set piece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With his wife.
Yeah.
Yeah. For one movie.
No, she's still his wife.
No, I mean she was in one movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And she's like, I think we got enough money. I don't need to work anymore.
He's like,
Oh crap! We never talked about the plot of this movie. I just realized.
they're really. Here's
We
the thing.
did. We talked about
Here, this is the thing about this movie.
incels and
we did there's not a lot to talk about. It's Mufasa. It's Mufasa's rise to power. But a power that he doesn't
But
want.
he's not asking for it, and that's
He's
the key
not
to a
asking
good
for
leader.
it.
Is it's
I
not someone
agree.
looking for power. It's a leader. He has the skills and what it takes to be a leader.
You know, one of
without
the things
asking for it.
I liked about this is if you ever, and when you watch, and they didn't get any of the voice cast back, right? With the exception of
Simba
Seth.
and Nala for the wrap
Man,
around.
I gotta wonder how much they paid Beyonce to be in this movie for about 2 minutes.
Oh, I was thinking they said we have about enough budget for 2 minutes.
Yeah,
No,
right.
I think they were like, we'll let your daughter be in it.
Yeah.
Who's the daughter?
Blue Ivy is?
But who is she?
Is
Is
Kiara,
Oh, okay.
she's the
Okay.
the new
cult
lion,
they're telling the story to.
the
Okay.
lion princess,
And
yeah.
the Rafiki's back, the original Rafiki.
and Seth Rogen and Billy.
Well,
Eichner.
original to the live action, not Robert
Yeah,
Guillaume,
yeah.
obviously.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, that's not the same guy.
Yeah,
Why?
no, I was like, original from the other live action.
Sure,
movie.
sure,
the
Yeah.
guy that voiced Rafiki in this, John Connie, is the dad from Black Panther, T'Chaka.
Oh, okay.
Same.
But then they've got the new Green Lantern.
is that Aaron Pierre?
He's Jon Stewart. He'll be the new Green Lantern for the DCU.
Okay. So Aaron Pierre, is in the show Lanterns that they're doing.
That's what I just said.
Yeah.
He's the new Jon Stewart.
No, I said the show's called Lanterns, so I didn't think you said that.
I was like, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You said just in DC. I'm saying there's a show called
yes, they're
Lanterns.
with Kyle Chandler
yeah. So
as Hal Jordan, which I gotta tell you, they showed a picture of him with a big old gray beard, and I'm kind of in for it.
but you'd also know Aaron Pierre. He plays Mid-Size Sedan in Old, the rapper.
Oh, he
Mid-Size
does.
Sedan. That's him.
Wow.
Yeah.
But I knew him from that Netflix movie,
Which one was that?
Ruby something. Rebel Ridge.
Tuesdays.
Rebel Ridge,
Yeah. He's the main character in that.
Yep. And so Calvin Harrison Jr. is the voice of Taka.
That's who that was. Okay, I could
Yep.
not place
That
him.
movie Waves. Anytime I see Calvin Harris Jr. and that movie Loose, where he's
Yeah,
like questionable,
yeah.
he's such a great actor. But
Yes.
but I have to mention Waves. Anything that comes up with him, because that movie was one of my
Waves
favorite
is
movies
so
I saw
good.
that
That's
year.
on my list. I have
And
not seen
it
it.
is
It's
a
so
gut punch of
It
a
is.
movie.
Oh, really?
It's kind of it's very different topic, but it's similar to Requiem for a Dream.
Yeah,
in that
yeah.
it's so good and you won't ever want to watch it
Sure,
again.
sure.
But it's so good.
Oh.
But
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
that's written and directed. He writes and directs all his movies. I think Trey Edward Schultz. So It Comes at Night.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But
and
that Waves
their-
movie, man.
Their voice work. I think their voice work was really good.
Yeah, they're both really
What
good.
I like is Mufasa's voice. If you don't know who that guy is, that's what I like about voice acting is when you hire Chris Pratt, you
love
can't,
voice acting when you hire Chris Pratt.
yeah, sure, but you
Get it.
can't hear anything but Chris Pratt.
Right.
Right.
That's all
And
he's doing.
That's all he's doing. And
But they also hire him because he's Chris Pratt. That's the problem.
I don't disagree
It's
with you.
Stunt casting in a way to where just like they want to remake every movie over and over again, do nothing original. They want to hire people. People go, "Oh, Chris Pratt!" Like they just,
who's
it's-
got a pretty good. I've been watching Creature Commandos.
Yeah,
David Harbour is the voice of Frankenstein.
yeah,
If you didn't know that was David Harbour, you'd have no idea.
gotcha.
Like he's doing a very good
okay,
voice.
yeah, I like it when they actually voice act and
Yeah.
not just read
Yeah,
lines. That's-
Frank
And
Grillo doing Frank Grillo.
And I don't even mind when but like Frank Grillo, nobody's like, "Oh, Frank Grillo,
Frank
I
Grillo."
didn't see this," right? But some people
Dan
just
Buffa would.
some people just have a really unique voice. And so, like I love Patton Oswalt, but he's not really doing anything groundbreaking as
Right,
Remy,
right.
Like he's just doing Patton
Doing
Oswalt.
Patton Oswalt.
But like, it's one thing when you cast, and he's not a big name. They just at the time,
Yeah.
they just liked his voice. But it's when you cast a big name, like okay, but don't do it top to bottom,
Yeah,
right?
Sure.
But also
Yeah.
when you voice Patton Oswalt, he has a unique voice. Chris Pratt doesn't have a unique
yes.
voice. He has a Chris Pratt voice. It
Yeah.
just
Sure,
is
sure,
what it is.
sure.
But like Patton Oswalt, I don't even picture him when I watch that movie because it sounds like he's doing because his voice has already a unique.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
just different.
I
And they're
agree.
both comedians, but it's just Chris Pratt's voice is very, to me, matter of fact. And yes, he has good physical comedy and line delivery and all that stuff. Like he's a very funny on Parks and Rec and all that.
Yeah.
But when he does just voice acting and you just hear his normal voice,
Right.
there's nothing to it.
I did want to touch on this thing about the Superman trailer briefly. Is that in the trailer it says from the director of Guardians of the Galaxy, the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy,
great.
but they don't reference the Suicide Squad, which is the movie that he made for DC, which I thought was kind of funny.
but the Guardians of the Galaxy is way
100%
just a
agree
way
with-
bigger.
100%
I
agree
think
with you.
also they probably don't want to create any confusion in terms of like
What's what?
Which
does this-
one?
does
The
this-
bad one?
and does this tie back into
Right.
the existing stuff?
Good call on
They're
that.
hitting the reset button.
It does. This Superman movie features characters from his James Gunn's Suicide Squad, not David Ayer's.
Okay.
So like the David Ayers stuff is gone.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Peacemaker is part of this whole thing.
Right. He
He's in this
said
whole
that
thing.
because there's a second season coming
Right,
out.
and
like
Amanda Waller. That's this is a different podcast, but having Amanda Waller be the same actress in
all of it.
all of it, like doesn't
Yeah.
change.
And the animated too, right?
And the animated,
yeah, right.
too.
So
there's a lot. It's
that's
very.
funny.
She's like, I'm Samuel L. Jackson now.
She is like, yeah, that's definitely who. And good for her.
But like, okay, so they in this movie, they have these like interstitials with Timon and Pumbaa because Rafiki is telling the story of Mufasa to Simba's daughter.
Also, dude, about that.
Yeah.
When they're talking about when Rafiki's telling the story about Mufasa and Sarabi falling in love,
He wasn't
Mufasa's granddaughter doesn't know that his grandparents fell in love. She goes, "Ew, they're falling in love. Gross." And it's like, that's your that's your grandpa and your grandma,
but
bruh.
she's
Like,
just
what are you doing?
She's just a little kid, though. I
But
mean, it's
it's like how little kids don't like to see their parents
That's
kiss,
fair.
you
That's
know?
fair. But I was like, I'm fairly certain your mom and dad have talked to you about your grandparents.
well, she
before.
doesn't know what the hell's going on with her mom being away, so I guess she doesn't have a very good understanding of the whole thing.
Where's my mom going? To give birth to your brother.
Yeah.
That's where they're leaving.
That also was a very weird thing where like the movie opens and it's Simba being like pacing back and forth and he's like looking up at the cloud,
He's
the
pulling
sky. and
he's pulling a pongo.
yeah, but he's like, I'll be there soon, my love. And then you see Nala like go into a little cave and curl up or whatever. And I'm just like, this is so strange. I'm like,
That was
clearly,
weird.
I'm like, I don't know the rituals of lions, but I'm like, clearly they're gonna have another kid. Like, what else would they be separated by doing?
Right.
Like, I inferred that, but why didn't someone just say,
Yeah.
It was weird.
I'm waiting on the birth of my like. I don't know. It was weird they hit it because at the end when she came back, I'm like, clearly she's gonna have a baby with her.
Yeah, right,
like,
right.
But for like kids aren't gonna know that, and maybe some
Do
people.
lions only have one cub?
I don't know how that works.
I feel like they must have litters. I mean, they're cats.
Yeah,
So
you know,
I
I
find
would
it.
think so.
So when she comes back with one, I'm like, where the hell the rest
But
of them
Taka's
go?
one. Mufasa was
I
one.
guess that's
They
true.
all had one.
They all had
Yes,
one.
lions have litters of cubs. A female lion typically gives birth. Well, it says 1 to 6 cubs,
Okay.
so-
but
Okay.
usually 2 or 3.
But in this movie, it's
Always one.
singles.
yeah,
So anyway, so Rafiki's telling this story, and they keep stitching in with comedy. I like Timon and Pumbaa in the live action and this one. I think Billy Eichner and
Yeah,
Seth Rogen
They've
are
got
funny.
good chemistry.
agree.
I
think
like them a lot.
Pulling them in was smart because the movie is a pretty serious movie. There's
Yeah.
not a lot of levity. So putting them in, I think they were funny when, what was the song they were singing that they,
Hakuna Mufasa.
Hakuna Mufasa, and they keep bringing up like the legal stuff. And like they had some little like jabs at Disney and stuff
They did.
throughout, which I thought was really funny and for the adults.
although it's like I have a weird time wrapping my head around the meta humor that like
Looking at the camera.
Timon and Pumbaa live in a world where they've gone to Broadway and watched the theatrical production of
that's
The
what-
Lion
But like
King.
Lion King 1.5. Lion King 1.5,
It's
they're
been
like
so long since I've seen
but
it.
they like go up and like talk to the screen. I think
Yeah.
at points like
Yeah.
that's what they've been doing. At least
Okay.
there's precedent, and I like that humor. But that's also kind of what I want a cartoon to do. I'm not saying it always has to do, and I know that animation's a medium and not a genre and all that stuff. So I don't have to write your letters to me. But in a comedy,
They
kids
have your home address?
I'll tell it to him.
no yours. I just list yours for the podcast. But I want a movie that's like an animated kids movie to
Yeah.
have the type of humor where you can play around with that. It doesn't, and so I think they accomplish by entertaining the audience with their their little meta jokes and all that stuff. So I really enjoyed them being cut in. But yeah, I mean, the telling the story to
Kira?
yeah, I don't know that like that character wasn't even really necessary for anything. Like you could have just
and
showed
she's-
us the Mufasa
She's
story.
really not necessary when the brother is born because
true.
like,
Guess what, Kira?
Yeah.
You're a ghost.
yeah,
Yeah, but
don't
I
need
mean,
to talk to you anymore.
I do think it's interesting that
Ain't
again,
making a movie called Lion Queen. I'll tell you that.
No,
But
they-
they probably will
well,
now.
Well, I gotta tell you, with Bob Iger in charge, they ain't.
yeah, but
It's too woke.
yeah. But they wrapped the story around the thing again, where like Donald Glover and Beyonce or Simba and Nala
Man,
say
that
like
didn't
one
even
line
sound
of
like
each.
Donald Glover either.
I thought it did.
I thought it did.
I can hear Donald
okay,
Glover.
okay.
But they say like a couple lines and then they tell the story because they leave, and then at the end, Donald Glover's like, "Oh, she's back, daughter," and then Nala comes in with the little cub behind her, or whatever. And so like they hardly talk.
Here's
and then
your brother.
And then again, the kid's just being told the story, and they for just little snippets. So I'm like, really, they could have just flashed back to Mufasa's story. Like,
Yeah, which is what I thought. I thought the bookend was going to be Rafiki telling the story, and then the end is everybody coming back together, like the Lion King, the traditional Lion King characters coming back together. Your middle piece is the Mufasa story. But when they kept interjecting them, and I was like, this feels a little weird.
I think the only thing to do is to keep the kids entertained by Timon and Pumbaa.
That's fair.
Which I think was smart. And again, it was entertaining, and it broke up kind of the, I don't want to say monotony, but it's a pretty serious,
Yeah. It is.
slow-paced movie.
I mean,
Did they get John Oliver back as Zazu?
No,
That
they
was-
didn't.
That
and
was
that's-
not John Oliver,
That's what I was
right?
going to say. The Timon and Pumbaa were the characters from the live action. John Oliver would have been from the live action.
Yeah.
But no, it's Preston Nyman. I'm not familiar with
that's
him.
a weird choice.
Yeah, like why they could. I mean, John Oliver, I guess, is pretty successful with his show, and maybe for those small little bit parts, they didn't.
And also keep in mind, everyone in the flashback was voiced by somebody different.
I guess that's true.
Like the only,
Yeah.
the only returning voice actors were
Are the
seen
adult
in,
ones.
In the
were
back-
seen
in the back.
like the present day
Yeah.
of the film.
Oh, maybe
era.
Rafiki couldn't do a John Oliver impression when he was telling the story. Maybe
I
that's
guess
why.
he's like, that's too hard. I can't do
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
That's why they each were played by different actors. 'Cause it was Rafiki doing the
Yeah, right,
the voice.
right.
But okay, but so like at the end of the day, what this story is trying to tell you is, is like, I like what they're trying to say, that family is,
It's not
what
blood.
you make. It's not
Yeah.
necessarily blood relations. I do like, so at first when I heard that Mufasa was the adoptive brother, and we know Mufasa's becoming king, I was like, well, maybe there's something to this Scar being a villain
Yeah,
thing.
right.
But the fact that like, so the king, Taka's dad, is like the king of this tiny little area.
Yeah, they've got different prides.
Not the king of Pride Rock and the whole grasslands, whatever
Malala
Malele
or
that they're
whatever.
trying to get to. So he becomes the king of a kingdom he made.
Yes.
Which is different because Scar
is
doesn't
different.
necessarily. He wasn't going to be king of that. That was Mufasa's thing. Again,
Well,
the only thing Mufasa did was get fallen in love with by a woman they knew for one day. That's
Mufasa,
the only
who
thing.
didn't have an interest in Sarabi initially,
Yeah.
is just like, man, I didn't do anything.
Yeah,
like,
he
I'm just living life. And,
Yeah, and like, oh, well, okay, well, if we're gonna jump forward to the plot, this is the thing that gets me. Okay, so at the end of the movie, so Mads Mikkelsen is the huge white lion that.
Wait. Sorry.
Bye-bye.
We're gonna start paying for that song.
So I only said the one word.
I know. Come on, we got to go bye bye. So
No, we
gotta speed
don't.
this up.
When the
No, we
children cry.
So anyway, the bad guys of the movie really are the white lions that are trying to hunt down and take out the other lions to
Right.
become the rulers of the whole thing. And so when they get to the end, when Scar has his incel villain turn, he ends up going to the white lions and saying, "Hey, here's the deal. I did not kill," as they tried to like cover up and say that Taka killed the white lion's son.
No, Mufasa killed him.
Right.
Okay.
But Taka, they made it that Taka did. Like they said.
They gore that lion. Did you see that in the
Okay,
background?
I didn't know the son died until they talked about it. I didn't see it.
If you watch it, like go back and watch that fight scene.
I don't know if
I
this
won't,
is
but-
offensive. I had trouble telling some of the lions apart. I really did. I was like, what am I looking at?
Well,
Like,
Scar's a darker color, so Mufasa's
I can figure
the
out
light
Scar
color
and
one.
Mufasa.
Yeah,
I was okay with those two, but when they started, and then like I guess I
the
can say
white
this,
lions are red shirts.
all the white lions
But-
look alike.
but
Except
I mean,
for the
I
big
can
one.
say that as a white.
they're
Yeah, right, as
they're
a white
mostly
lion.
all females, and so
Yeah.
they don't have a mane, and they all just they're
Yeah.
just
So
fodder.
in that fight scene, Mufasa is fighting them off, and he like swats at one of them.
Yeah.
And the one lion flies into a downed tree and gets impaled on a branch.
Okay.
Because when he hits the tree, he just stays there.
Okay,
Like,
that's
he
what I was-
doesn't move.
that's
and
what I was
like,
trying to figure
they
out, 'cause
just gored that lion.
I got it from talk when the guy runs away and tells Mads Mikkelsen. I was like, oh, okay, he killed the son. So what happened? So one of the pivotal scenes in the movie is that Mufasa is out hunting with Taka's mom.
Oh.
It's not Sarabi. Yeah,
Right,
he's
right,
out
right. I got you.
Taka's mom, and they're hunting, and then Scar's kind of moping around in the background because he wants to be a part of it, and the dad's like, no, we're male lions, we sit around and sleep all day. So anyway, he goes to just see what they're up to. They're hunting, and we see them getting closer, and then these two white lions are hunting them, and so we find out it's Mads Mikkelsen's son and another lieutenant or whatever of the white lions, and so they go to attack, and then Mufasa fights them off.
Yes.
And Taka turns tail and runs away.
Yes. And but both Taka's mom and Mufasa see Taka there, and they see him
He
run.
like freezes and then runs away.
Right,
So when
right.
they go back to Taka's dad, the king of the pride, she's like, if Mufasa wouldn't have been there, we would be done for. And so then the dad is like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I've been making you an outcast
I
or whatever.
owe you a debt.
I owe you a debt, whatever. And so and then he's like to Taka, he's like, you're a little bitch.
But doesn't he say something like,
He says, come with me. And then he says, you never tell anybody what happened, that you ran away. And then
but
and-
Taka even says, he's like, yeah, but then I'm lying.
right. And so
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
what,
yeah.
well, he is a lion. That's
Oi.
he's lying.
Oi.
So but this is the thing, again, to Taka's credit, like, again, I think he was a good kid. I think he's a good lion because of the way he talks to his dad. He's like, I don't want to lie. And then he's like, that's what kings do.
Right.
So again, the whole thing, I think it's like he had a really bad upbringing. The dad is an asshole and a terrible king and ruler. He's lazy. He wants to just kill anyone he sees as a threat, like strays, because he feels threatened by them. You know, he's a jerk.
Oh
right?
yeah, yeah.
And so
well,
when
he's in competition.
Toxic lionity.
Toxic
It is.
lionity. That's right. He's also in competition with a lion that is better than him. He's Mufasa, and they even to say that in the old movie. He's bigger, he's faster, he's stronger, he's smarter. Like he's just better. And Taka has never had to compete with anyone.
Yeah.
Because he's been the only boy, and now he's not. And this lion shows up, and he's better.
But to Mufasa's credit, like Mufasa's a really, really good guy. Right?
Yeah.
Like he's not gonna take credit. He's still gonna not lie like in a bad way, but he's still gonna cover things up and give Taka credit and all that. So like he wasn't really a threat. He was on paper he's a threat because he may be better at things, but also he's his brother. He sees him as family.
Brother.
So that's the whole thing. So they're
You say bruv. What's up, bruv?
yeah. So there's that pivotal moment which kind of changes the dynamic between like the Taka's family and Mufasa being brought up or whatever.
Right.
But anyway, so when the white lions come they outnumber them 2-1. They're bigger, they're stronger, and so they say, well, to keep the bloodline alive, we have to get Taka
You
out
two
of here.
get out of here.
Yeah, and so and then Mufasa, you go and protect him, and so that's what sends them out on their journey.
Right.
And so meanwhile, you know, they're out doing their thing. Mufasa was told a story when he was a kid of the Malele, which is this luscious grass.
Which is where they were headed, right? Like that when he loses his parents.
Yeah, they were wanting to find
going that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, so they decide, well, if we're going to go somewhere, let's go to this place. I think it really exists. I've been told about it, blah, blah, blah. And so they're heading there. And then this is where, like we were talking about, they assembled the team,
Yeah,
right?
we get
So-
Rafiki, we get Sarabi, we get Zazu.
Apparently Sarabi is a princess of her pride.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of thinking like, okay, this makes more sense. Mufasa's going to marry into King, which didn't really happen. It ended up being like he made the kingdom.
He made
but
his
I'm
own-
like,
yeah.
well,
He
this is
created
cool.
Pride
So he's
Rock.
not taking King from Scar. He's going to marry into being the
Right.
king, but then it's a little different. But anyway, but yeah, Zazu's there. And so, you know, you end up building the team along. And then what it comes down to is Scar gets burnt again, has his incel villain turn, and he goes to the White Lion and he's like, Mufasa killed your son.
Right.
Let's get revenge. I'll basically work with
I'll
you
bow
guys.
to you.
And we'll get the guy, get revenge, and blah,
Right.
blah, blah. So he's like, yes. And they kind of have this moment where, like, the king, Mads Mikkelsen, is going to adopt, basically, or, like, Scar is going to be
Well, it gives him a
his-
new name, right?
I don't remember that.
He says Taka's not his name anymore. Like
Oh.
he's something. And
I
I
don't
thought they were
remember.
going to call him Scar. And I was like, okay, so the name that he
no
has.
Scar yet, though.
But that's true.
Now you're Scar.
Now you're Scar.
So Kyros is Mads Mikkelsen's lion name.
Yeah.
But anyway, so what it comes down to is that Scar, as they're on their journey, is like marking rocks so that they can follow them because they think they're evading the white lions, but Scar is laying the
Right.
breadcrumbs. So they get to what will become Pride Rock. Where we all
Correct.
know we see the tree. We see the rock that will become the Pride Rock.
Only
thing
because
on-
there's an earthquake.
Right. So was that like all the animals were coming and caused that?
Rafiki does have like a vision of like when the ground shakes, there's going to be a seismic event.
Okay. I was just wondering
But I
if it
guess
was
it
an
could be.
earthquake or if it was all the animals
Pride is a
converging.
rockin'.
Don't
Yeah,
come
don't
knocking.
Come knocking.
And so the white lions end up basically jumping them, and so
Well, so Robbie circles up the lionesses
Yeah.
and has them attack.
yeah, so Robbie's
and-
like, it's my time. I'm going to go get help this time.
Right.
I'll be right back. And so she goes to the lions and she's like, hey, this guy is a good guy. He's going to protect us. He can rule and everything. And they're like, why would we do this? He brought all this upon us. And all the other animals are like, you brought the danger here. And he's like, but basically Mufasa says, danger's coming either way. These people, one way or another, they're eventually going to come and try to take control. But if we work together, and so this is how basically showing that in the Lion King, all the animals
Right.
see Mufasa as king and they bow down to him and stuff. And we see in this point, he stepped it up as a leader to protect them from the threat of the white lions and everything. But the basically the Mads Mikkelsen Kyros character has Mufasa dead to rights.
Yeah.
They start fighting. But this is the thing. So even though Scar betrayed them in that moment, he had a redemption.
He did.
So Scar is there as Kyros is about to the
kill
death blow
Mufasa, yeah.
on Mufasa, and Scar jumps in and takes the blow, gets the titular Scar, or at least his namesake Scar, and then
It was on his face, not his tits.
His eponymous.
there you go, and then. In the Pride Rock, there's like a lake in the middle of it or whatever. There's
Did
all
we
this
ever
water.
see inside Pride Rock?
I don't think so.
I don't think
they
so.
might
We
go
never
in
saw
the
that.
cave a little bit, but like not in the
Not-
middle. I don't
okay,
think.
okay.
So anyway, there's like
mostly nougat.
That sounds all right.
Yeah.
so there's like a water that goes down really deep inside or underneath Pride Rock, and so anyway they fight and they get pushed into it, and I think there's some really cool visuals. I mean,
I like the stuff. Like it's hard to animate water.
Yeah.
It is it's just like fire. Like it's very hard to get that because it's such a natural and fire and water don't move any way you want them to.
right?
They move
it's-
how
right,
it
it's
wants to.
So erratic.
So it is. I think, but it did look really good.
It looked cool, and I
Yeah.
think with Barry Jenkins being such a visual storyteller, I mean, I've said it a million times, but if Beale Street Could Talk is one of the most beautiful films ever made. Like, hang it in the Louvre, put a frame around a 8K TV, and just play it on repeat. I mean, it's
Do they
gorgeous.
have an 8K TV?
Oh yeah, they make 8K TVs.
What the hell would that even look like? I'm just watching pictures.
I mean, there's nothing
move?
made for 8K, but
Oh, okay.
it's super clear.
Jeez.
But that movie is phenomenal. And so when you get a storyteller like Barry Jenkins, you're going to get, he did Moonlight, obviously.
Yeah.
Which
It did win an Oscar.
did win the Oscar.
It did win.
So anyway, I do appreciate, like, lions cannot really swim, and they definitely can't hold their breath for 8 minutes. But I did take it as more of an artistic interpretation of Mufasa kind of like floating in the ether. Like, I took it as more
Until he sees a giant rock, he's like, I gotta get the hell out of here.
But so again, I think that was more artistic. I don't think he literally was holding his
Yeah.
A lion would just drown if he went into the water like that. But anyway,
you don't think lions can swim?
he was deep in the water.
That's true. That's true.
Do you see him kicking his feet? You think lions have the ability to like move through water like that?
I think so.
I mean, he was the dude was
do I think-
hundreds of feet in the
Okay,
water.
I don't
Lions
think-
can swim, but they are generally hesitant to do so and are more vulnerable in water than on land.
So you're
Yeah.
saying
But
I
aren't
could?
we all?
So you're saying I could beat a lion in the water?
Yes,
Okay.
in the water.
Good.
So
Good,
anyway,
good.
So they both go and get into the water. Mufasa does see with the
shimmer.
earthquake or whatever.
Yeah.
He sees that there's a huge rock that is falling off, and so he ends up like pushing Kyros into the path of the boulder. The boulder, sinks him down to the bottom where he definitely cannot swim up.
No.
So then Mufasa does his hundreds of meters of swim or whatever to the top, and then here's the second one that Joe talked about where Scar, now he is Scar.
He is Scar.
It takes him and holds his paws, but he does pull him up.
Right.
So here's the thing. So Taka, Scar, saved Mufasa as a child.
Mm-hmm.
he saved him against Kyros, who was about to kill him, took the blow, and then saved him by pulling him out of the water as he was drowning.
Okay, but those last 2 times, he saved him from dangers he created.
Right, but so what we're saying is that if someone makes a
Also true.
mistake and they have a redemption,
Yeah.
that they just are bad now?
Well, I think.
I mean-
well, this is a weird tie, but this all kind of goes into cancel culture. I hate that term.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I think that should be like consequences culture. Scar now has to face his consequences. Yes,
Right, but-
yes, he did save Mufasa twice from stuff that he like. If Scar hadn't put himself
Yeah.
where he did, none of this would have happened. But now he has to face the. Yes, he did that, and good for him for not being a shithead. But now he has to face the consequences of leading the pride of white lions to Pride Rock.
I just feel that a noble leader like Mufasa, though, would see that he had a moment of weakness.
Yep.
He ended up.
Mufasa does do exactly
But
that.
he does.
He says,
like,
I'm not going to kick him out. He's going to stay here with
Yeah.
us, but I will never call you Taka again. Those are consequences.
Yeah.
Those are consequences. Like but because Mufasa could very well have just torn his throat out and be
Right.
like, we're done.
Right.
But he doesn't. He says he's not going to be banished.
and he's wrong to do so.
And he, right?
right? I mean,
Yeah,
based
not
on-
wrong
yeah.
because in retrospect,
But I feel
if
like
he'd have
by
just kicked him
relegating
out-
Scar, and I know they can't rewrite then the classic movie. Like,
well, we don't know. Maybe something else happens, right? Because he doesn't relegate in this moment. He doesn't say he has to go live in the elephant graveyard. He doesn't say that. He just says, "I'm not kicking him out."
yeah.
And
Because there is a redemption of sorts.
Yeah.
That's why he doesn't kick him
Yeah.
out.
correct. And he's like, "But I'm not calling you my brother. I'm not calling you Taka. Like you."
But he
like
doesn't call him his brother. He just
I guess
says,
that's
I'm
true.
not ever going to say
I'm
that
not gonna.
name
I'm never going
again."
to say the name again. Now, I guarantee you, there's a story. You can tell a story between the end of this one and the Lion King, where Scar tries to pull some more shit.
Yeah.
And now Mufasa's like, "Get out, go!"
Well, he doesn't really
because they
live
don't
in the
even-
graveyard. He just hangs out there.
they
He does
don't
have a rock
reference-
where Simba goes and visits
I guess that's
him.
true.
He doesn't live there.
But they don't reference the hyenas. So like something has to happen
Yeah.
where Scar becomes buddy
it's
with
just
the hyenas.
crazy that the whole thing with Scar is because Sarabi fell in love with Mufasa and they knew her for one day. That's the whole. That's Scar's whole thing.
I do think. I mean, you could say yes, but also you could. We know that Scar is weak and a coward. He would not have made a good leader. We know that he doesn't make a good leader because we see that.
But I
right?
do think he's a good guy, other than the fact that obviously this turn that they invented in this movie's bad. But like they show him as a good lion the entire time. The things he does, just because you're born into being the king, like I think the whole story of what they're saying is like doesn't mean you have to be.
Doesn't he?
Just because you're born in this position doesn't mean you should have to be.
But doesn't
whatever.
he say at one point he took what was mine? Doesn't
I
he
think
say
he does
that?
say something
Like
to
he
that
took
effect.
my he took
Yeah, not, Sarabi.
no. You're not wrong. It is Sarabi, but I think it's everything, right? Like Mufasa comes in and does take. And I'm not saying Mufasa. I was joking about the Danny, Billy,
Yeah.
Johnny.
But Taka's mother really likes Mufasa, and then the
Yeah.
dad finally turns around on
Yep.
Mufasa. So
and he takes the
Yeah.
and Taka believes he's the rightful king, and he can see Zazu immediately like kind of starts going to Mufasa. Obviously, Sarabi goes to Mufasa. Rafiki ends up so all of these
Yeah.
other people are starting to be attracted to him.
It's just interesting because I feel like Scar, and based on his actions, I think he'd be like, whew, dodged a bullet there. I'm going to go chill. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he doesn't seem like he really wants any of that.
That is funny. He's like, woo!
I mean,
Don't gotta do that
that's
anymore.
like,
but I think he's, it is a somewhat nuanced story that they're telling
Yeah.
to give them credit for that. But
Yeah.
I do think, what I think occurs is then he sits there and watches Mufasa amass all this
Yeah.
power and respect and admiration
Yeah.
that he had spent his whole life thinking would default
Eventually,
to
it
him,
would just
Correct.
default,
and it
yeah.
just curdles.
It's the Lex Luthor story.
yeah.
yeah.
We're like, this guy shows up with all these powers, and everybody loves him, and everybody hates me. That guy.
But in the end, so now, what's her name? Kira?
Kira.
Kira has a new baby brother.
Did you say not Simba? Is that what you were
I
going to say?
don't- has a new Simba Jr.
Simba Jr.
And
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 Kira
there's no need for her in this world.
Nope.
Because
she will
she's a
never be
girl.
in power.
Yes.
It will be Simba Jr.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think aggressively average is how I would describe this. Like, it was
That's
good.
fine.
I enjoyed
Yeah.
watching it. I think a lot of it is a lot of fun. I think the voice acting is really solid. I just don't know where the disconnect is.
Well, I mean, I think people are at this point. There's a very polarizing split of people around Disney. It's very political and it's very theatrical. You know, it's just very. People are against Disney because of things they've done in the past, and and so I think that you have a certain audience that wants.
I kind of want to touch on like getting rid of that trans character. I think that's ridiculous. I think for those that don't know, like Bob Iger cut a character out of it was a Pixar show,
Series
right?
for
Like it was
Disney
their
Plus,
first like show. I can see the argument if you are trying to, you're trying to force something into a story that wasn't there. But if the creators of that story put that from Jump Street, right? You put that character in there and that character is a part of this long form storytelling. And it is ridiculous that Bob Iger's like out, take it out.
But I bet it was greenlit when he wasn't he wasn't there.
I don't
He
care.
doesn't want to tell those stories.
That's not, I don't care.
You can disagree with it, but I'm saying like
I think it, but what I'm saying is like, if those creative people put that character into the story and it's just part of the story, right? It doesn't matter that they're transgender. They're just part of this story. I think that's fine. And Bob Iger's like, no, like you can't have any representation of any other character besides white people or whatever.
That's not what he's saying.
That's not what he's saying.
It's way more diverse than that.
It doesn't matter. Like when you start picking and choosing what you want to,
Well, I mean, but there's always picking and choosing.
there is.
Like, no matter what you do, you're picking and choosing.
That's true. But I guess I just feel like it is not a good look when you have these creative people who are telling a story and this character is part of this story. And then because you don't want to piss off a certain demographic of people who aren't going to watch your product anyway, let's be honest.
Yeah, but it's just going to give them more ammunition. I'm all for the inclusivity. I wish that character was around, all that, but it's like they brought in Bob Iger to undo the rift that Chapek made.
Yeah.
And this is what Bob Iger does. He's not doing it as a political statement. He's doing this as a business decision. He's just trying to get the heat off Disney.
He's crunching the numbers and just
saying
going,
it's not worth it.
It's just not worth it.
Yeah.
I
And
guess.
it's,
I don't
and it's like, but again, these creatives, if they want to make their own story and bankroll it, they can tell whatever story they want. They work for a company.
That's true.
This is America.
I don't disagree with
and
that.
they're a business that owns the property. They get to decide what they cut. So I wish the character was in there. I think it's great representation. I'm all for it. But at the end of the day, I don't think any of us can really say, oh, this company cut something they think would be bad for PR. Like, I mean, it's their business. They can do whatever they want. They can just write off shows and never.
Well,
I mean,
that's
they
also
can,
true.
which I'm
That's-
against. But
yeah,
like,
100% against
but if you
that.
guys say like, oh, well, it's their business and they paid for it, they can write it off. Well, then they can cut shows.
I
They
agree.
can-
It's the worst. I
It's
think
like how we recorded that entire episode about Wicked, and then we just never released it.
yeah.
Is there really an episode like that?
But yeah, it sucks for
It does
sure.
suck. And I
it's
think
just
that's
a business
the-
decision, and that's just.
And I think it's a given the current political climate that we are walking into in the next year,
which is another reason.
why.
Yeah.
But again, I guess, and the
But
Superman
it is-
trailer has also done this, right?
Yeah.
It's wild. It is wild to see the hate and the vitriol
We knew-
that is. We knew it was
It's
coming.
not wild though.
No,
It's
well, I mean,
not, because we knew before
It's wild.
anything
It's
ever
wild
happened.
for my
I
rational
know, it's
brain
still,
to be like, "What are you doing?"
There's a lot of
Like,
things you could say are wild where you're
Yeah.
like, I still don't understand how people but we knew it. You can predict. It is like clockwork. You know exactly how people are going to react. And Bob Iger knows exactly how people are going to react. He's a businessman and he gets it. So he's just cutting off, especially again heading into certain things. He's like, Disney is not like a political company. Disney is an entertainment company that wants to make money, and they don't want to shove in one value,
So
one side or
that's-
the
okay.
other. They're just
So that's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
though. Like, if I can understand when something is like forced into something else, right? Like, but this character wasn't forced in. It was just a character in a story. That's kind of what I'm saying is like I can see the argument where it's like we're
Well,
just
it's hard to say if we haven't seen it yet.
I guess that's true.
You know,
that's fair.
But
That's where I'm coming from is like if the character is part from Jump Street, part of this story, that's a different
I
thing
don't envy
than,
Bob Iger's position.
I don't
right?
either.
Like it's like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Right.
Now, for that kind of money, you can damn me all you want. But yeah, so it's like it's really hard to say like without having
that's fair.
That's
seen
the finished product, which we never will.
But even if it was lovely, which I'm sure they did put a lot of care into it, but it's like Bob Iger doesn't want to approach topics like that. He doesn't want. I mean, it would be great if more big companies did, and that's what we need. And because he did that, you can cancel your Disney Plus. You're free to not give Disney any money. Like that's what we're all free to do. But that's what the freedoms of this country that we have for now allow us to do. If you own a company, you can decide to talk about whatever topics you want.
I'm laughing at the for now part.
For sure. No, for sure. But like if you want the right to be able to say what you want and support what you want, then people that bankroll these things have to be able to, because they're not violating any laws or anything. They're saying, I don't want to make a show about this topic. Like that's their choice, right? And so
But if the show's been made and it's done,
they can cut whatever they want.
But
If they own they can not release it if they want to do
I
a
guess
tax
that's
write-up.
true.
So
they cut things out. Kevin Costner was in The Big Chill. They cut out all the scenes.
That's true.
He's just played the dead body.
Yeah,
but like
that's
there were
wild. That's also
flashbacks with
crazy.
him, right? I
Yeah.
mean, it happens.
So I get it, and I know that I think it's great that people are passionate about it. I respect that you want that out there. I think it would be great for more inclusivity. I'm all for it, but I also like, what are we going to do? If you want to just force companies to do stuff that you want,
right,
then they can force you to do what you don't want. Like, we don't want a world where people can say like, oh, well, you have to do this because of whatever. It's like, you got to give people the freedom.
I don't disagree with that at all.
It's just frustrating to watch people who point at everything and scream triggered,
right,
throw a temper tantrum,
right,
and cause a major corporation to be like, well, we better not do that.
Don't do that.
Like
that's the part that is
it sucks. It totally sucks. I wish that more of them would stand up. But at the end of the day, which is one reason why I think Disney is not as good as the company they used to be, is all they care about is shareholders.
Yep.
That's all it is. All the big corporations are just owned by other not venture capitalists, but investors, and what are the groups like that own a bunch
private
of
equity?
Yeah, private equity firms, stuff like so.
Private equity will be the death of this country.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Because nothing anymore. The companies were founded like when Walt Disney made the Walt Disney Company.
It was
right?
Walt Disney.
It was a passion for animation and for innovating the art of animation and pushing boundaries. And he created the first feature-length animated film. He made Disneyland because he was sick of taking his kids to carnivals with broken rides and people getting injured. He made Disneyland. He had the idea for Epcot at Walt Disney World to be a community where people could work and to live and to further innovation. Yeah, Epcot was supposed to be a place where you live and work.
Experimental. Prototype?
Experimental prototype community of tomorrow.
Like you were going to live.
You were going to live
there.
Oh,
that's wild. Like a commune.
Like a pre-designed city.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then when Walt died, Roy took it and turned it into another theme park like they had, So anyway, it was made for a love. Walt Disney loved animation, and he wanted a place where families could go and afford to go. And now it's all owned by investors, and Walt Disney World's $200 a day, and their hotels are
shareholders.
If you look at the history of Disney, it's almost always bankrupt when Walt Disney's alive.
Yeah.
Like,
interesting.
Like he would make a bunch of money and then take
Spend
all
it all.
that money and spend it on the next really big thing, and then that money, then that would either work or not work, and then they'd be like, oh crap, what can we do?
He made so much money on Snow White, but he almost killed the company doing it.
Yeah.
And then it released and made so much money, and then Sleeping Beauty almost bankrupted the company.
Right.
Like
That's
it just
crazy.
But he just kept investing it, right? And so I know he had
He wanted to make a theme park.
Yeah.
That's why you get The Wonderful World of Disney on ABC.
Yeah, to pay for the
because
theme park.
they were like, oh, well, we'll make a TV show, and they'll give us money to make the TV show, and then we can use the money from the TV show to
imagine
build a theme park.
if that had been here?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, no, it was going to be one in Missouri.
Yeah. Also, do you not know how Missouri works in the wintertime?
I think it was going to be enclosed.
Oh.
And they wanted to build, it was going to be on both sides of the river, and it was going to be enclosed over the river.
There are many stories about how much of a person Anheuser-Augie Busch is.
Yeah.
This is one of them.
Yeah.
Because they wouldn't sell
They
beer.
wouldn't sell beer at the park, and
Yep.
so he's like, you ain't
You-
building it here.
What an idiot.
Yeah.
What an idiot.
So anyway, at the end of the day, it sucks, and I'm on your side with being mad and being disappointed, but I just don't know, like, when you see the position that Bob Iger's in,
Yeah.
and they brought him back after retiring to make the share prices go up and everything, and he's like, we're not going to be making political statements that got us in all this mess 5 years ago. He's like, I'm here to just make entertaining products. And so it sucks if Disney can't be that company, and hopefully other companies will step up and make animated films about inclusivity and all that stuff.
I guess you're exactly
and you
right.
just choose who you're going to support.
There are all kinds of people out there that can do all kinds of things we haven't even seen yet. I know we've referenced DC, but I mean, James Gunn has said the dynamic duo movie is going to be some sort of animation we've never seen before that hasn't been, so you're right. There's all kinds of people out there that can do different things.
It's just not easy.
It's
so
not
right,
easy.
a company like Disney or whatever, if they choose to make certain things or whatever, like they got the money for it, and it'd be great if they would step up. But unfortunately, they're all owned by investors, and it's like it's a very difficult line to walk for
A24. Here's your opportunity.
Yeah, there you go. We need you to make the next animated movie. They'll
I gotta tell you,
The
I saw
A
that
stands for animated.
I saw that
animated
trailer
24.
for the Paul Rudd, the other gal, Jenna Ortega comedy where they kill a unicorn. It's a comedy from A24. I don't know what that means,
There you
but
go.
it looks weird.
They did a musical. Dicks.
They did, yeah,
So,
I guess that's true.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess that's it for this one. Let's go around the table, and everyone can say where to find them.
This is Joe. You can follow me on the Twitter at JoeyButts, BUTTS21, and on Letterboxd at the same.
This is Kevin. Follow me on Twitter at KevinRBrackett.
And this is Tom. You can follow me on Blue Sky and Threads at Tom O'Keefe Jr. or on Facebook at facebook.com/Tom O'Keefe. Find the show online at facebook.com/Real Spoilers. While you're there, like the page, join the group, and of course, don't forget our Patreon at patreon.com/Real Spoilers. So that's it for this one. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, Banji saves Nate.
Get ready for a spoiler. Won't say it twice, 'cause we already warned you.